So today's class, what we are going to discuss is human anatomy. Now, while preparing for your NID, UCEED or NIFT exam, this becomes a very important, aspect. So, what are we actually going to discuss in human anatomy? Now, this might sound like that we are going to start discussing biology, but actually it's not. So, we need to understand a very simple thing like what is human anatomy and how it is useful over here. Okay. So, let me write down over here. So basically, it's not only important for your NIFT and ID, UC, these exams, also important for architecture. This is what I must mention or add on over here. Now, how it's important for architecture? Most probably not now, or likely not now for the NATA exam. You don't need it. But in the days ahead, once you are in a college and you are in your second, third semester and all, and you are working on structures, you are trying to show the interior of a house or several other things like this, you need to know human anatomy to put in perspective the ratio of a human body in accordance with a furniture, a structure, or anything that is there. Now in today's time we know that many things are automated, done by AI and done by the usage of software, but still there should be a basic knowledge among us to first of all to understand, to question the other person who is working, to judge the things that if it is going right, wrong, and secondly, if I speak in perspective to what is just in front of you, your college life, definitely there is, or there this kind of things are also required. Now, how it is useful in NID, once you are going for this BDesk, after NID, you see, we usually go for the course of BDesk, Bachelor's in Design. How it is important, any kind of product, any kind of automobile or several other things. So anything that you work on, starting from a comb that you use to brush your hair to the car that you drive, like from the simplest design to the complex most design, in everything you need a design aspect or a technical aspect along with the design part of it to be affected, so that it reaches the people once, when you buy something or when you are looking for a particular item. The very most important thing is that you always look for the design, right? If that thing is not eye catching to you, or at the very first impression, why do you like some object, why do you don't like? Very simple reason is that whether that object is kind of attractive to you or not. After that comes the necessity of the usage of that object. I hope you understand. A car can a car with four wheels can drive you from point A to point B located 100 200 kilometers apart. But depending upon your economical situation and after considering that okay, this is my budget, now I'm looking for a car. So it depends that whether you are going to buy a Alto or whether you are going to buy a BMW. Now, when you look for these things or various options at your price range, what do you look for? What is more attractive to you? Then comes the usability and the several other things. So human usage is a very big aspect or a part of any design, any work you are doing. So coming to that part, now the other important thing is then human anatomy. So on an average body size of a human, or depending upon the region, if a product is very much target specified, that okay, let's assume, I don't know if you're aware or not, in Japan, the height of the doors, the height of the metro doors, so metro train doors and all, they are comparatively smaller. So when a person from the US goes and visits something in Japan, they find it that the height is comparatively lower. Now this is again in Japanese, they have decided or designed things as per as the average human ratio of a Japanese person, not a person from US. Now this is just as I mentioned, some place basis or region basis. There are definitely few things or standards which are completely international based. So it's kind of universal for everything. So now let's talk about the human anatomy or proportions. The very first thing, so I must mention right down over here before we move ahead, is that human anatomy can be your region, or region based, I must write here, or it can be as per as international standards. or universal standards would be a better word. Universal standards. Okay. Now, the very important thing while we are talking about this is to understand we have several parts in our body, like when we are talking about a human anatomy. So let's first understand what part or does our head of the face, like I'm talking about the whole face and the head, like the top part of your body. Like what is the ratio of it to in comparison with the rest of the body, and like how many number of heads, like depending upon the body size, on an average body size, how many number of heads can be placed on top of each other, like as far as your head size to form your body. Okay, so let's assume we are having a universal figure, like a normal average person's figure over here. Now, see, I am drawing it for a pretty long time, so I can kind of relate, like, where what will be. But when someone is drawing it for the first time, and if you have some sketching idea, well and good. If you don't have any sketching idea, then the suggestion is that you always look for, like, first the measurements, try to understand it, then you go for the sketching part and all. Okay. So usually, I'll come to that. Wait. Let me complete the sketch first. Okay. So this is like, we are trying to look for an average human body. Now over here, few standards that we also have to remember. So considering this is your head, okay, this is your head. Over here, we have the torso portion. This is the chest region. Okay, this is the chest. So your hands and all are coming down. So over here, we need to consider hands over here, and it will might be a bit longer. So wherever your west region is, okay, hands will always reach a location below that. This is that you stand and you see, as far as your body also, the same kind of thing will happen. Okay, now let's start dividing the body and see. Wait. So it's one line. This is the position of your head. So now we will try to place the number of heads your body holds. So actually, if we talk about numbers, it is like if I have to tell about that, okay, what is the number of heads that you're going to get is usually 8. So if this is the size of your head, actually there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm just trying to make the same size. 7, and a last one. So 8. So altogether, actually, 8 is the number. So 8 times your head size actually comprises of your whole body. This is the very first and the important thing that you need to remember or know. Okay. Now you see everything will pass from a very certain region as well. 2 times the head pass almost through your. Now see, this is an abrupt sketch. Might not be exactly the same, but these are things. 2 times your head passed almost through the chest region. Okay. Now, this is the average calculation on an average human body. And it usually kind of remains a standard one for anyone, depending upon their size. So if your size is more, it will be like your head size will also be more, and hence the thing will come and see. I will mention over here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the very first and important thing. Okay. Now, for example, in human anatomy, while you are doing this, and this is an abrupt line drawing of a human figure or a body. If we have to move in detail and try to make a proper body, then how we are going to do that? Okay, this is for you to understand the ratio and hence form a full size human figure without any kind of problems. So let's assume you are making a proper sketch, proper human body. Now this was a line one. We are moving ahead to, sorry, we are moving ahead with This is our torso region. So things will come down in an angular direction like this, never straight. Now over here is the shoulder region. This is the shoulder region that we have. From the shoulder region, your hands comes down. Over here, it's kind of for any human being, depend like irrespective of who they are or how they are, you always need to remember that there is like muscular region over here that comes down. Okay, your chest portion, what I mentioned previously was 2 times. So you place 2 times the head, your chest will almost go through here. Okay. So here, this is the region you can consider for your chest. Okay. Now, from the chest and all, if this comes down, this is the what like belly portion, or like you can tell the portion of abs. Okay. Now, this is your west region, and from here starts the leg. Now, everyone is not so muscular, like people might be fat, people might be thin and all, but the body ratio will always remain the same. This is what you need to remember. Okay. This is what we are talking about. Clear? Any doubts till here? Hands,
Yes, sir.
for hands, what I have mentioned, hands will come down below the chest, sorry, below the west region. So depending upon your body, you can just stand and see right now itself that your hands will always come down below the west region. This is a very important thing to remember. So your hands will come down almost to your like below your hips portion. That is one of the other things to remember. Okay, so this is how a human like a human figure is divided in terms of divided in terms of the head and all. One simple thing to understand. Okay. Apart from this, we have now a few things to know or understand. So just give me a second so we can move further. Okay, now let's consider, for example, what kind of issues and problems students faces in exam. Okay, let's assume. Just give me a minute. Okay, let's assume a person is you have seen skateboard and all, right? So a person is using a skateboard, a boy. So very first thing, let's assume if this is the size of my, like I'm showing you what the problem makes, okay, or where the problem arises in a student's drawing. So let's assume this is your skateboard, okay. This is how the skateboard is, the top part of the board and all, and a guy is driving. Sorry, a guy is, you can tell, rolling over it, okay, rolling with it. So let's assume this is the skateboard. Now the problem is that we are starting to get, okay, this is a skateboard, this is how it works and all, a person is driving, everything is fine with it. The problem is that when the final composition is coming at the end of the day, if this is the skateboard, then the size of the human should abruptly be almost, now this is the hypersection, your human figure should be at least of a minimum size of this much. Now, few things to remember. If the skateboard is being driven this way on a normal basis, depending upon the posture of the body, if he is like you have seen, right, by using a foot, you take like increase the speed. If it is that what's happening in your sketch, the face has to be lean towards this direction. Okay, because that is how your face will be while you are trying to do or like trying to do that job. It is automatically your body posture is going to be like that. Clear? Your hand, your hand posture and all is what you like we should be very careful about while making any such sketch or something like that. So let's talk about if this is the kind of posture that's coming up. Let's assume this is the guy over here, okay, and he is trying to roll over through the with the sketch. Now see, this is what we know as fast drawing. Okay. So you need to explain, like the sketch is not complete. Is the sketch complete, Sarah? What do you think? Am I completing the sketch? No, right? So,
No.
but still you can understand that what is actually happening. So this is the kind of sketch, like, a person is making. Now the biggest problem which arises is, as I was telling, the top part of the body, let's assume this is of this particular size. Okay. And considering this, now we are coming up with a sketch. Okay, it's almost fine. But at some point, what happens? The positioning, the top part, you are, first of all, you made the skateboard that, okay, this is where my skateboard is. Okay. Now let's assume this is the shoe. Your shoe, while making it, it came to this direction. It might not happen. If the skateboard wheel is over here, shoe will be behind it because your leg is on that side. Things to remember as I am mentioning. Okay. If your body is of this particular size, which you see over here, okay, this is the size of your body, then you need to remember that what should be the exact size of my legs, because your top part of the body should be in proportion with the bottom part. Okay, bottom part in proportion. Now this is where the problem arises. Hence you need to know, like, what is your like, what is this particular thing, like, what is human, like, so sorry, so what is actually human anatomy, how is the body ratio divided, and as far as that, how can you work on it? Clear? Now it can be not only in terms of a sketchboard, sorry, skateboard, it can be in terms of several other things. Okay, it can be in terms of a chair, it can be in terms of anything. So at this point, it becomes very important where you need to know or understand that, okay, what is, like, a human body, how it is divided. Now we will go in detail. This is just a general, very first day idea that, like, what is it all about, how is it working out, and few other things, like few other similar things. Okay, now let's see some human body sketches. Just give me a second. So it can be things like it can start with some very simple things, as I was trying to tell, that this understanding this human sketch or this human perspective, that how it works, what all is actually you need to look at. Okay, so it can start with very simple understandings or very simple things, like, let's assume, like, how you are supposed to start with it. Let's assume, like, there is a particular human, like a lady. I hope this is a, if you have done drawing, or like went to drawing classes and all these kind of sketches you have done. So let's assume I will first draw a central line. This will help us to proportionate the body in both left and right side properly. Let us assume there is a human figure, a lady who is carrying a pot on her head and a bucket in her left hand. She is trying to hold a pot on her head, and right hand she is holding a bucket. So how we will come out with it? So this is the top part. This is the bun over here. Okay. Her neck portion. From here, you need to identify her hand. Okay. This hand, right, left hand side hand, she is actually holding the pot or whatever you want to call it. Now we need to remember that what should be the proportion of the whole body. There shouldn't be, like, there shouldn't be a mistake with it. The hips of any female figure is comparatively more in comparison with male. The chest portion for male is comparatively wider in comparison with a female, like an average female body I'm talking about over here. Okay. So this kind of figure we can always come out with. And okay, the hand has also to be placed over here. So usually, now see over here, I intentionally did a mistake. Is that I pulled off the hand too large. It will never be that. When you are like making a hand, it can come till here. From here, it has to come maximum till this portion, from where the bucket has to be pulled, or this bag or whatever I'm trying to make. This has to be pulled. Okay, on top part on our head, if I'm talking about some can or a pot or something like that, this can be something like this. So this can be an average human body, and like this simple sketches. So your very first initial day, or like whenever you are trying to sketch for the first time a human figure in movement with something, and something back is going over there, and these kind of things. These simple sketches can be the very start. We will discuss on that. There are several classes available. We will discuss on that. So this is what it has to start with, then moving in detail, then understanding that okay, now how shade, light and shadow effect works, what are the things we need to care for while making this sketch, and several other things that we will discuss. Okay, so guys watching this, who are watching this class as a recording, that's all for this particular class. This class ends over here. We will connect back on detailing of and like more important topics about human like anatomy, and understanding the perspective of a human body in respect with your in and surrounding furniture, and several other things which happens in a normal day-to-day life. And hopefully this class will help you for your any of the exams that you are giving in NIT NIFT UC. And most importantly, post, like once you join a architecture college, this is also important in your second, third semester or in and around. That's all for this class, guys. If you need any help, we are always available over the contact number and our website. Please connect us. We are ending this class over here. Make sure you let us know if you need any help regarding this.